buried treasure for any math teacher who, wants to
Absolutely.
really get their students thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how we're always like hunting for those like really good math tasks, the ones that just make our students' brains like light up?
Yes.
Well, this chapter goes even deeper than that. It's not just about finding the good tasks.
Yeah, okay.
It's about like the how, the when, and the where of presenting those tasks.
Interesting.
Because believe it or not, those little details can totally make or break a thinking classroom.
I'm already intrigued because I know I've definitely had those lessons where I thought I had like this amazing task and it just fell flat.
Totally.
So I'm ready to hear how I've been like sabotaging myself all these years.
Well, get ready for a surprise because Lichtendahl's research shows that something as simple as how we introduce a task can just like drastically change the level of thinking that our students engage in.
Really?
And, the way most of us do it, like writing it on the board, handing out a worksheet, projecting it on the screen.
Like the classic.
That actually leads to like the lowest levels of thinking.
Wait, are you saying I've been doing it wrong this whole time?
What?
But like that's how I was taught,
Right.
Isn't writing the problem down the most straightforward way to make sure everybody's on the same page?
It seems that way, right? But think about it.
Okay.
What are our students really doing when they're just copying down a problem? They're not really thinking, are they?
I guess not. They're just sort of...
They're kind of on autopilot, and unfortunately, that's what they've been trained to do.
Yeah, for years.
For years,
Right.
right? This chapter is all about like breaking that cycle and getting them to actually think.
Yes.
Right from the get-go.
Okay, so if writing the task down is a no-go, then what's the secret?
The answer might surprise you.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's verbal instruction.
Oh, really?
I know what you're thinking.
I am picturing like reading a math problem word for word.
Yeah.
Like-
No, not like that. This is about like having a conversation with your students.
Okay.
Unfolding the task in a way that like builds their understanding and gets them engaged.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
So instead of just like presenting a static problem,
Right.
we're creating an experience around it.
Exactly. And Lichtendahl gives this really great example in the book with
Oh, I love the examples.
a palindrome task.
Okay.
And so instead of just being like, hey, figure out what a palindrome is,
Right.
the teacher like guides the students through all these questions and prompts, and they like build up this concept together.
I see.
And this does 3 key things.
Okay, hit me.
1, it like lays the groundwork without making the challenge too easy.
Right.
2, it makes those brains like work. They have to process information and remember things.
Gotcha.
And 3, if a student comes in late, they can just glance at the board and catch up. Oh, that's clever. I like that a lot.
Right.
Okay. I can already see how that would be so much more interesting for students. It's
Yeah.
like building anticipation and curiosity.
Exactly.
Instead of just like, hitting them with a wall of text.
Yes.
But do we have any proof this actually works?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Lichtendahl did this research with a tax collector task.
All right.
And the students who heard the task verbally, they had much better math discussions
Oh, well.
compared to the ones who just read it.
Interesting.
They were making connections, debating strategies, like really getting into the nitty-gritty.
So the how is starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious about the when.
Okay.
Is there like a magic time during the lesson to unleash these amazing verbal tasks?
You might think the best time would be after a warm-up or like
Right.
once you've reviewed some
Wait,
stuff.
get them all prepped.
But surprisingly, the research says
What?
the very beginning of the lesson is the best time to get them thinking the most.
Wait, really?
I always feel like I need to like prep my students first.
Yeah.
Ease them into the hard stuff.
I know it feels counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but think about it as the lesson goes on, our energy levels drop.
Oh, for sure.
And we as teachers, we tend to fall into that pre-teaching trap.
Oh, yes.
Start giving away hints
Uh,
and basically doing the thinking for our students.
It was so true.
Lichtendahl even has this graph in the book,
Okay.
figure 6.1, I think it is,
Okay.
that shows how the level of thinking goes down as time passes.
Wow.
It's pretty striking.
So all that pre-teaching that we think is helping
Yeah.
is actually like robbing students of the chance to really wrestle with the problem themselves.
It's a tough pill to swallow,
Yeah.
but sometimes the best way to help our students is to trust them,
Yeah.
to figure things out on their own from the very beginning.
Okay, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah,
All right, so we've covered the how,
right.
using verbal instructions, and the when,
Uh-huh.
hitting them with the task right away.
Right at the beginning.
What about where
Uh-oh.
does the physical layout of the classroom play a role too?
Absolutely. So ideally, you want a big open space
Okay.
where students can move around and work together,
I wish.
right? Not every classroom has that, but
Right.
even small changes can make a difference.
Okay.
Lil Jadal has some good tips in the FAQ section for those of us with smaller spaces.
Oh, good, because I don't think I can convince my principal to let me take my class out to the football field.
Probably not.
But even encouraging students to stand when you present the task
Yes,
can make a difference.
big difference. It increases alertness and makes things more dynamic.
I like it.
Right.
This is all making so much sense.
Good.
But I'm sure there are some teachers out there thinking,
Yeah,
okay, this sounds great in theory,
right.
but how do I actually make this work in my classroom?
That's a great question, and luckily,
Good.
Lil Jadal answers that in the FAQ section. So let's dive into some of those practical tips and get you ready to transform your math lessons.
Let's get practical.
So one thing that teachers always ask about is note-taking.
Yeah.
Like when we're doing all this talking,
Right.
should students be writing down every word?
Yeah, we wouldn't want to replace mindless copying from the board
Right.
with mindless copying from us talking.
Exactly. It's all about being choosy,
Mhm.
Encourage them to write down like
Okay.
key numbers or formulas, or maybe a quick sketch if there's a diagram.
Yeah.
The goal is to keep their brains active and engaged and not like
Right.
bogged down at notes.
Makes sense.
Huh.
What about when students misunderstand the task? I mean, it's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
But those misunderstandings,
Yeah.
those are like golden opportunities for more thinking.
Oh, I like that.
So instead of like jumping in and correcting them right away,
Okay.
guide them with questions,
Okay.
Encourage them to like rethink and really try to figure out
Uh-huh.
where they went wrong.
So it's about helping them become problem solvers.
Exactly. Not just like
Yeah.
passive receivers of information.
I love that. But, shifting to like a completely verbal approach
Right.
that can feel scary for some teachers
It can be a big change.
who are used to using, worksheets and stuff.
Yeah. So my advice is start small.
Okay.
You don't have to change everything overnight.
Right.
Maybe try doing a couple of verbal task presentations each week,
Okay.
and then gradually do it more and more as you and your students get comfortable.
Yeah, just ease into it.
Exactly. Another good tip is to model it.
Okay.
Like, think out loud as you're solving a problem
Huh.
so they can see how you make sense of things.
I think that modeling piece is so important because students need to see that
Yeah.
even we as teachers don't always have all the answers right away
Absolutely.
and that it's okay to struggle.
It's part of the process.
But what about different grade levels and learning styles?
Right.
I mean, what works for high schoolers
Yeah.
might not work for second graders, right?
You're so right. You have to adapt these strategies to fit your students.
Of course.
So with younger kids, you might break the task down into smaller steps
Yeah.
and use more visuals.
Yeah.
And for English language learners, clear visuals and gestures
Uh-huh.
can be a game changer.
Mm.
It's all about being flexible.
Yeah, meeting them where they are.
Exactly.
This chapter is really giving us a lot to think about.
It is.
If we had to pick like the most surprising and actionable takeaways,
Okay.
what would they be?
For me, the biggest takeaway is that how we present a task is just as important
Yeah.
as the task itself.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in finding the perfect problems
Right.
that we forget about the power of presentation.
It's true. We do.
And sometimes the best solution is the simplest one. Just talk to our students, engage them in conversation, and let the task unfold naturally.
I think for me, the big aha moment was that presenting tasks at the beginning of the lesson,
Right.
when everyone's fresh and focused,
Yeah.
that leads to better thinking.
I
I've always done it the other way around.
know it's counterintuitive, but the research is clear.
Yeah.
We have to resist that urge to pre-teach and trust our students to
Right.
work through the challenge.
That's where the learning happens.
Exactly.
This deep dive has totally changed my thinking about how I present tasks.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's so cool to know that even little tweaks
Right.
can make such a big difference.
Yeah. What I love about this chapter is that it really shows that
Yeah.
a thinking classroom isn't just about the tasks.
Uh-huh.
It's about creating an environment where students are active,
Right.
engaged in discussions,
Yes.
and challenged to think critically.
It's all about setting the stage for thinking
Yes.
and then letting them go.
Exactly.
But how do we actually take all of this and use it in our own classrooms?
Great question.
Yeah.
Take a moment to think about how you do things now.
Okay.
How do you usually introduce tasks?
Mm-hmm.
When do you present them? Where do your students work? Even small changes can make a big difference.
Yeah, I love that vision.
Yeah.
Like a classroom that's just like buzzing with
That
thinkers.
active, engaged learners.
But I also know change can be hard.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about all my pre-made worksheets and stuff.
I hear you. It's a journey, right?
It is.
We all start in different places. And the good thing is that this work like meets you where you are.
Right.
So maybe you start with just one verbal task a week.
Okay.
Or maybe you rearrange your classroom.
Yeah.
Every little step counts.
I love that. You've given us so much to think about today.
Good.
I'm excited to go back and look at my lesson plans with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Any final words, wisdom?
Just remember, it's all about creating that culture of thinking.
Yeah.
And that starts with us, the teachers.
Right.
By changing how we present tasks, we're not just teaching math, we're teaching students how to think, how to solve problems,
Yes.
how to engage with the world.
That's such a good reminder. We're shaping minds here.
We are.
If you're listening and feeling inspired to try this out,
Yeah.
definitely check out the Try This section in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Little Jada will give some great examples of tasks for verbal delivery.
Yeah.
He even gives you sample scripts to get you started.
It's like a cheat sheet.
I love it.
Yeah.
This has been such an eye-opening look at Chapter 6.
That's a good one.
I feel like I have a whole new set of tools now
Awesome.
to get my students thinking and curious about math.
That's what it's all about.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive
Of course.
into the heart of a thinking classroom.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another exciting exploration.
Sounds good.
Until then, happy teaching everyone else.